Transform your life with a quarterly reset. Every so often, I get the urge to rebuild my life from the ground up. I want to set goals for the future, clean my entire home, fix everything I'm doing wrong, commit to new habits, and start fresh. But fixing everything in your life is a lot, especially when it feels like you're doing literally everything wrong. When I get this urge to fix my life, my typical pattern is to get highly motivated for about 3 days, try to do too much, get overwhelmed, and then drop it all again. This pattern made me feel like I was shamefully wasting time, setting up systems and not following through. I was mad at myself for not being consistent or disciplined enough. What can you do when you have a deep need to reset your life, but you're overwhelmed, and you don't trust yourself to do it right? Part of the solution was that I did need to learn to trust myself. What if I assumed there was some benefit to doing this work, instead of assuming that I was inherently flawed for wanting to do it? What if this ritual wasn't a waste of time? It's possible that I was actually repeating and practicing the very skills I most needed to develop. And when I trusted my instincts, little by little, it slowly transformed my life. So if I've got 3 good days of motivation to work on my planning and productivity systems, I might as well use it. Day 1. Before I look forward, I review the previous quarter. What happened in the last few months? What did I do with my time? What were my significant memories? This is a final call to backdate all my monthly trackers, my word count tracker, and YouTube stats, wrap up my journaling pages, celebrate my achievements, and reflect on how it all went. It's easy to overlook how much we learn and grow from month to month, so I really appreciate taking this time. I tend to underestimate how hard I actually work until I see it written down. This reflection period is also a good time to ask yourself if there's anything you wish you had done differently, so you can carry that lesson into the next part of your quarterly reset. During this first step, you might review accomplishments, update stats and trackers, update planner backlog, make a list of what you're grateful for, and journal about some good memories. And when you're done with your review of the previous quarter, we'll move on to step 2. Now it's time to set goals. If you have your own routine for setting goals that works for you, then just go ahead with your normal strategy. But if you struggle to set goals for yourself, hear me out. What if, instead of setting a goal based on what you want to accomplish, you try setting a goal based on how you want to feel? Allow me to explain. In the past, if I was experiencing bad anxiety, I might set a SMART goal to do yoga or meditate or exercise. Even though I was highly motivated to get rid of my anxiety, I never felt like I could stick with a program or establish a habit, no matter what I tried. At a certain point, I realized that I just wasn't very motivated to check a box, signifying that I had done my scheduled routine for the day. But I was still anxious, and I was motivated to feel different. I wanted the anxiety to go away. That's why I was trying so hard in the first place. But I kept feeling like I was failing myself every day that I didn't do it. At a certain point, I realized what I actually wanted was peace. I wanted comfort, serenity, and calm. I didn't want to exercise. I wanted to feel stronger. I didn't want to write. I wanted to feel prolific. I didn't want to meditate. I wanted to feel calmer. When I focused on my desire to achieve a state of calm, I naturally felt more inclined to do the yoga routine, because I knew that it would calm me down, and I was immediately rewarded with positive reinforcement. This increased my motivation to do yoga in the long term, because I actually felt like I accomplished something when I did a routine, instead of just dutifully following my own pre-established orders. Sometimes I think I would prefer to follow orders, but actually it just feels so boring instead of being able to spontaneously choose for myself each day. I recently released a video that goes deeper with this goal-setting method if you're interested, but otherwise let's get into the next step. The final part of our Day 1 quarterly reset is to assess current habits, rituals, and routines. Now, this is where the bulk of the I need to fix my life mentality comes into play. So I'm talking about addressing things like sleeping, eating, food prep, self-care, hygiene, morning and evening routines, daily cleaning chores or weekly house chores, monthly or quarterly home maintenance, exercise, studying or learning, creative work like writing, content creation, and crafts, hobbies, work routines, commuting, mental health, which might include meditation, journaling, screen time routines, enrichment activities, social activities, gaming, leisure, content consumption routines, holidays, administration, life planning, and more. There's a lot. Of everything in my life that I'm tempted to fix, this list makes up the majority of it. This is the iceberg. It's very hard to build things in your life when you aren't sleeping right, eating right, taking care of your environment. You might struggle to meet your responsibilities if you don't have a handle on your screen time or if you aren't taking care of your mental health. But we need to acknowledge that it's enormously challenging to address those issues in the first place. Improvement will be small and slow. You will definitely be frustrated with yourself because this is the foundation of stuff you want to have under control already, but for some reason it's the hardest to manage. So many of these routines are interconnected, so it creates a cascade of issues when you can't sustain a particular one. So I just want to emphasize that overwhelm is normal, progress is slow, it can take months or even years to figure out what you need, and meanwhile your needs change constantly throughout your life. Realistically speaking, you can't expect yourself to have a handle on it in your 20s. Most people develop life routines and steady patterns over years of regular, reliable scheduling. And a lot of students and modern workers simply do not have the luxury of regular schedules. So, take a deep breath, in for 4 counts, out for 8 counts. Give yourself permission to be having a difficult time with this, and when you're ready, get something to take notes and ask yourself these questions. First, what routines in your life are going really well right now? What is supporting you and making you feel good? This could be totally frivolous. It doesn't have to be a big, serious routine. Maybe you're enjoying something in the morning as part of a 0 hour. Maybe you have a getting home from work routine that hits just right. Take note of everything that's already working in your life that you want to keep sustaining. Next, what routines would improve your life if you could manage to do them? Some routines, especially around issues like food, sleep, and exercise, can create a lot of emotional or even physical discomfort. It's true for me, and if that's true for you too, then I just want to acknowledge that fixing those routines is going to be extra difficult, a hard mode kind of situation. Maybe you're up for that challenge, but if you feel trepidation, it's totally okay to start with something small and easy first. Let yourself practice this stuff. Practice is going to give you more confidence and strength to tackle bigger issues next quarter. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to choose 1 to 3 routines that you want to focus on in the short term. You can use this list for inspiration and modify it depending on your own life circumstances. Identify what you want to fix, why, and how. Is it related to your goals for how you want to feel, or are you trying to live up to a standard set by someone else? Ask yourself how you can support yourself better and meet your own needs. How can you reduce difficulty and overcome challenges? I do have some future videos planned with tips for certain routines that you might struggle with, but my strong opinion is that your best tool for solving problems is genuinely yourself. It's possible to find solutions by looking inward, listening to yourself, and using trial and error. So if you really crave guidance from someone else in this moment and wish that someone would just tell you what to do, I can only recommend that you sit down with a journal and ask yourself very sincerely for guidance. Put it all out on the page. What you want, what's frustrating you, what kinds of improvements might support your needs, what compromises you think you need to make, and what kind of help you're asking from yourself. Imagine that there are different parts of you that want different things, and they're arguing with each other so loud that you can't even hear yourself think. It's your job to take control of the conversation and mediate between all those different parts of yourself, so they each have an opportunity to be heard, but you can be the authority figure making a final decision. And my last tip for this is that if you don't really know where to start, then I recommend using the upcoming quarter for data collection. Try paying attention to your current habits. Track what you do and how often. Notice what's going well and what needs improvement. Figuring out what you want out of your lifestyle routines is probably the biggest project of this whole system, and it can take multiple days and even weeks to consider it thoughtfully. So this is a great stopping point for day 1 because there's a lot to unpack here. When you feel ready for the next stage of the quarterly reset, we'll continue on to day 2. Step 4 of the quarterly reset is to update or make a Wheel of the Year. My Wheel of the Year is a calendar that I've filled with dates that are significant to me, as well as seasonal associations and reminders to do certain things at certain times of year. Each quarter is a good time to check in with upcoming holidays, birthdays, and special events, and make any necessary planning in advance. I have recently released a video on the Wheel of the Year, and you can find the link here if you want an expanded walkthrough. But for an abbreviated version, here's a list of things you might want to consider for your calendar. What meaningful structures exist for your year? Your year might be structured with business quarters, seasons, a school calendar, the placement of your birthday or New Year's, work holidays, a monthly lunar calendar, hours of sunlight, weather, or some other structure that gives it meaning. And within that structure, you can examine it for significant events. This might include festivals, holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, memorials, live events, release days, and causes to raise awareness. After you have a calendar for the next year or just the next 3 months, you can move on to step 5, which is where we will make a template for a basic weekly schedule. Making a basic weekly schedule template is a great way to visualize how much time you have available in a day. It'll probably look different on paper than how it feels in your mind. I have another video here which lays out the steps on how to make this kind of schedule, and in the description of that video you can also find a free PDF to download for a time block scheduler template so you can fill one in yourself. But for a brief overview, this is the order of operations that I use when I set up a daily or weekly schedule for myself. First, I'll fill in responsibilities like work hours, school, caretaking, and appointments. This is any responsibility that I have to myself, to society, or to another person where I am already scheduled, where that time is already blocked out and allocated, and I can't or shouldn't change it. Next, I fill in buffer time around those responsibilities, which includes getting ready routines and commuting, anything that I require to make sure that I make it to that place on time. Then in the gaps, I will fill in human needs like sleep, meal times, and food prep. Then I will allocate time for responsibilities to my space, like chores, cleaning, and also errands. I will consult the Wheel of the Year in planning for holidays and special events. I enjoy the luxury of having unscheduled time and getting to make decisions every day about what I want to do that day instead of having it blocked out too far in advance. So I will preserve as much of the free time that is remaining as possible, because I will often want to spend it different ways from week to week. Once that's done, I will put all this information into a master list so I can reference it again the next time I want to make a schedule. After I have my basic weekly schedule, I'll move on to step 6, where I assess the projects that I want to keep on the front burner this quarter. So now that I have an idea of how I want to feel and how much time is in my schedule, now I can think about what I actually want to do. And this is when I check in with my project menu. If you couldn't tell, I like to categorize things to make sense of them, and creating master lists and reference lists is a really soothing way for me to organize information. It releases stress because I don't feel burdened with the need to remember it all. I'm the kind of person who has a bunch of hobbies and so many different projects I want to do and things I want to make and skills I want to learn, and I can't rely on my brain to store all of that information and retrieve it when I need it. Like, if you're the kind of person who searches online what to do when you're bored and then feels really dissatisfied by the results, but actually you have so many hobbies and things that you actually like to do, consider making your own reference list for what to do when you're bored. That's basically what I did. I compiled projects that interested me and then put them into this disc-bound system. My quarterly reset reminds me to flip through it like a menu so I can pick out a few priorities based on what looks fun and interesting to me right now, and maybe remind myself about some things I'd forgotten about. This is also a chance to think about the projects that might support your goals. If your goal is to feel a certain way, what activities might help bring about that state? What would support your needs and relieve your troubles? This is also a chance to think about the projects that might support your goals. I know that we went over a lot in this stage, and there's a lot to process. You probably won't have answers to everything immediately. You might need time to think about all of it. Don't be too frustrated if it takes a long time to be able to thoughtfully address all of these things. This is why I do this reset every quarter. After a few years, it really adds up, and I'm constantly refining my systems and thinking of new things to add to it. So when you're ready, we'll go ahead to day 3. Step 7 is the planner reset stage. This is when I set up my planner or my bullet journal for the quarter ahead. This is a very fun part for me. I put on a YouTube video and create the structure for my basic bullet journal spreads. My system works on a cycle in quarterly, monthly, and weekly modules, so it's very easy for me to jump back in if I've dropped it for a while. The basic structural layout of my bullet journal goes like this. I have my quarterly reset checklist, my quarterly house cleaning checklist, and my quarterly seasonal dashboard. Then I move to the monthly reset, monthly house cleaning checklist, and monthly priorities. Then we move into the weekly sections. I'll have 4 or 5 weekly sections depending on the month. And each weekly section includes a dashboard for the date and weekly priorities, a weekly reset checklist, a weekly house cleaning checklist, my daily routine checklists, a bullet journal style page a day for Sunday through Saturday, and a final notes page for any overflow that doesn't fit in the rest. I repeat the monthly spreads when a new month starts and the quarterly spreads when a new quarter starts. So instead of keeping all of my quarterly spreads together or all of my monthly spreads together, I have it structured so that I can flip through and feel a sense of linear time. However, I don't set up the whole book immediately because it is pretty time consuming. At the start of a new quarter, I'll just set up the basic structure and then fill in spreads during future monthly and weekly resets. In addition to the bullet journal spreads, I add a few lists to the back of my notebook going in reverse. These are just some nice reference lists like a general catch-all task inbox, a to-buy list of things I'm saving up for, a recommendations list of media that my friends tell me to check out, and ideas for rewards and treats that might incentivize me. But there's plenty of room if I think of other lists I want to keep as well. This little sterling ink notebook should easily last me for the next 6 months until the end of the year, so I will start a new one in January. I've already posted videos on my weekly reset routines and my monthly reset routines, and now it's time to finally take a close look at my quarterly routine checklists. On page 1, we have my general quarterly reset. This includes the checklist that we've been working through in this video, some tasks related to the Wheel of the Year, as well as some seasonal specific tasks. On page 2, we have the house cleaning checklist. Sometimes I want to get this done at the beginning of the quarter, sometimes I stretch it over the whole quarter doing little by little, and sometimes it just doesn't get done and I shrug and try again next quarter. My quarterly house cleaning checklist includes some deep cleaning chores, like replacing and cleaning filters, changing my toothbrush, switching up seasonal decor or displays, as well as some season-specific needs, like putting cold weather clothes away and taking out warm weather clothes, or doing a few winterizing things around the apartment to make it a little more insulated against the cold. So step 8 is to set up this house reset checklist. All the deep cleaning chores and seasonal chores I like to do every few months. The great thing about this cyclical system is that it's anti-perfectionist. I don't feel pressured to complete the whole list every time because there's a built-in reminder next week, month, or quarter to try again. And the final step is to set up my seasonal dashboard. This last page of my quarterly spreads is like a little menu for the season ahead. It's where I can write down special dates from my Wheel of the Year, cozy media that I want to reread or rewatch, food I want to eat, and activities I want to do. I don't feel obligated to do any of this at all. It's just enriching, and it gives me some things to look forward to. It reminds me about all the limited time vibes I want to appreciate every year, and encourages me to pay attention to nature and seasonal cycles. I hope this all made sense, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I know it's a lot of information, and some of the detail is spread across multiple videos, but I wanted to at least provide a basic overview of the whole quarterly routine here that didn't get too bogged down in the details. If you want to try a quarterly reset for the first time, I really do recommend that you spread it over a few days, even a week. The reset requires a lot of thoughtfulness and problem solving, and sometimes it takes time to figure out the solution to your own problems. So don't be too discouraged if you don't feel like you can figure it all out right now in this moment. Honestly, it's taken years for me to customize all the routines and planner systems that I'm sharing here. And I'm still improving things. There are a lot of life skills I'm actively trying to get better at. So if you want to see me talk about growth and personal progress in realistic and cozy ways, consider subscribing. If you'd like to see my other reset routines, check out this playlist. Let me know how your quarterly reset goes. I know I'm getting this video out pretty late, so you guys have probably already done yours already, but thanks for watching, and have a good one, everybody.